My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Oh my gosh. I got it right and I didn't even make noise before I was supposed to.
Congratulations,
Happy day.
Joe. Congratulations. It's a good day.
I bet you're proud of me, right, Jay?
I'm tickled.
We are here. We have an amazing show today. Another happy South Lake morning. We are going to talk about today, it is National Teddy Bear Day. So we're going to talk a little bit about teddy bears. You did it. We're going to talk briefly about the 3 recipes I promised you yesterday. We crossed over 500 likes. We only have another 500 to go on our way to 20,000. We're going to talk about failure today and processing failure. So stay tuned for that. And I am so excited. There's somebody really cool going to be on the show today. The Honorable Jason Nimeth, Lake County Judge. He's one of the new judges appointed by Governor DeSantis. He's going to give us a little bit of insight into judges and some of the canons that they have to follow. So I'm really, really looking forward to this interview. With that all said, we do need to hear from our family of sponsors. We're going to go to commercial break, and we'll get started as soon as we get back. See you in a minute.
Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes with the Mortgage Firm, your local mortgage lender. I've helped thousands of families achieve the dream of homeownership in Lake County, and I would love to help you. Please read our reviews and visit us at mortgagefirmpros.com.
The best things in life aren't items we can grab and hold. They are the moments that grab and hold us. Moments that captivate us, inspire us, and enrich us. Moments that bring joy, strength, and peace. At Sing Insurance and Financial Services, we help you to treasure these times by being there when life's most difficult moments arise. Through our services, you will find independence, flexibility, health, and security that will prosper and protect your life. Whether you are driving that new car, buying that new home, opening that new business, or building a new family, we provide you the peace of mind and freedom to enjoy life's best things. Your next moment is waiting. Are you ready?
Welcome to Erica's Tea Room. Located in the heart of downtown Claremont, this specialty tea shop offers a traditional high tea experience that can be enjoyed with family and friends. While here, you can choose from over 100 teas from all over the world, and a multitude of teapots are available for purchase. Join us for lunch or choose from one of our special evening events. Call to make a reservation. Erica's Tea Room, making memories with every cup.
And welcome back. Good to hear from our family of sponsors. And I want to say a great big congratulations to, did we just see that new Michael Singh ad?
Not in the first break, but we will in the second one.
Congratulations to Michael Singh. We have a new ad for him. We'll see that in the second break. You should be using our family of sponsors. Here we go. Teddy Bear Day. It's National Teddy Bear Day. Jay's going to bring up some pictures of teddy bears. Everybody goes, oh, teddy bears are so cute. You know, now, I'm kind of hardcore. I don't think I had a teddy bear as a kid. I know my brother did. I used to torture him by taking it away from him. But all my kids had teddy bears, some sort of stuffed animal. You know, teddy bear actually has a deep, rich history in America. The teddy bear actually comes from here. A lot of people don't realize the teddy bear is actually named after Teddy Roosevelt. And the way this started was in 1902, he went on a hunting trip with some other politicians, and it was a bear hunting trip. But the way they hunted bear was they captured a bear, like in a fence, and like the bear couldn't go anywhere. And because he was president, they wanted him to kill him. and he refused to kill them. He called the other hunters unsportsmanlike. Well, apparently there was some press along, and this got out, and people started making fun of him by making political cartoons with him and a bear in it, and it turns out that every time they tried to make fun of him, people loved him. His popularity grew. There was a fella named Morris Mitchum, shortly after this happened, in Brooklyn. Him and his wife made stuffed toys, stuffed animals, and they got the idea to make a stuffed bear, and they got Teddy Roosevelt's permission to name it after him. He actually used it as a prop in his presidential campaign, going everywhere with a teddy bear, showing that he was stern but compassionate. Now, you need to go get a bear if you don't have one. We all have a memory for one. And these are pictures of Teddy Roosevelt. Frankly, politics-wise, I have some questions if you really understand the history, but good guy. Good guy. Refused to kill a captured animal. Let me see. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, we're going to go 3 recipes. You guys really hit the mark. I said yesterday that if we hit 500 likes on our Facebook page, that I would share 3 recipes with you. I ought to offer to share recipes more often, Jay.
I know.
I mean, what did we get? 50, 60 likes out of
that? Something like that, Joe.
Yeah, something like that. So here's the deal. I am going to share with you the stuffed date recipe I showed you yesterday. I'm going to share with you the Rice Krispie Squares recipe, and I'm going to share with you, now this comes from my wife, her Meme Dubé's recipe, the peanut butter marshmallow fudge recipe that we get made every single Christmas. So you're going to have that recipe yourself. Jay will put those up a little later today as soon as I get them to him. Finally, Cup of Joe. We're talking about failure this week. And you know, what I want to talk about today is the processing of failure. So we've talked about your definition of failure. We've talked about how failure is really necessary to move towards success. But what we need to talk about is how we feel. You know, when we fail at something, it's so hard to walk away from. All right. I know that depending on who you are, you might process failure differently. We all have failures in our life that have affected us emotionally and really affected other parts of our life. And if we're not careful, they can affect us very negatively. Have you ever had a failure, Jay, that just still kind of sticks with you a little bit?
Yes, sir. I do. And this has been a very interesting segment for Cup of Joe this week because I've run businesses before, but in a lot of ways, Joe, what we're doing is a startup. And with any startup, you will go through the process of failure. We've had even just technical failures, and even those are hard to get past, even though it has nothing to do with me. The technology is just not working. But you always want to have something be perfect, especially when you're presenting it to a mass audience like what we're doing. So we've just even recently we've had some failures, but and they are hard to overcome.
So it's actually a perfect example. You know, just this morning I was driving in, and as I'm thinking about this segment, you know, I'm thinking of a failure that I had. Oh my gosh, I was in the Marine Corps. I was 20 years old. That was 37, almost 40 years ago. And as I was driving in, I have a short drive. Okay, I'm like 10 minutes away. I really felt the emotion of that coming up and really starting to, my chest was getting tight and my stomach was getting... Here's the point. It is so easy to process to stop with the emotional feel of failure. And that's how we usually get stuck. My suggestion, when you have a failure, feel the feelings. Your feelings may not be based on facts, but your feelings are real. So whether or not you're at fault or somebody else is at fault or was something else you could have done, you can't move on from failure to success, to turn failure into success, unless you find a way to detach. In my personal life, the best way to detach, feel the feelings, set a specified amount of time that you're going to let that wash over you, and then detach emotionally. And that might take some work, might take some repeated tries, but once you can logically look at what happened. Was there anything I could have done about it? Okay, well, I could have prepared better and left earlier. Okay, good. Well, so then the next time, I know now. We actually did this with the timing of the show. Our first guest was actually late because I asked guests to get here at 9:45. They got lost. They actually walked in after we started. I don't know if you go back to the first episode and see it was a little embarrassing. But that was a failure, and I felt really bad. I was very embarrassed. But I knew once I detached from the emotional feelings of it, there was an answer. And the simple answer was to ask my guests to be here at 9:30. Failure. Okay. Mistake. I should have silenced my phone. How about this? We're going to shut this bad boy right off.
And when we come back.
So today, I think I'm very successful with the guests because even when I'm booking them now, I explain the time commitment is from 9:30 to 10:45. And that even allows for them to chat with us for a few minutes after the show ends and allows if the show runs over 5 minutes. Speaking of the show running over 5 minutes, I'm going to end this section. When we are going to hear from our family of sponsors again, we are going to go to commercial break. When we come back, the Honorable Jason Nimeth. I said his name wrong in the intro, Nimeth, and I'm really looking forward to this. We'll see you when we get back, and he'll be here. See you in a second.
Hello, my name is Michael Singh with Singh Insurance and Financial Services. Our goal is to build trust based on a clear understanding of how your insurance policy protects you, your family, and even your business. When was the last time you took a good hard look at your insurance coverage? Would you be open to the possibility of reviewing your policy with me? One review of your policy can save you valuable time and money. Call me today to set up a review of what may be available to you.
Welcome to Erica's Tea Room. Located in the heart of downtown Clearmont, this specialty tea shop offers a traditional high tea experience that can be enjoyed with family and friends. While here, you can choose from over 100 teas from all over the world, and a multitude of teapots are available for purchase. Join us for lunch or choose from one of our special evening events. Call to make a reservation. Erica's Tea Room, making memories with every cup.
The best things in life aren't items we can grab and hold. They are the moments that grab and hold us. Moments that captivate us, inspire us, and enrich us. Moments that bring joy, strength, and peace. At Singh Insurance and Financial Services, we help you to treasure these times by being there when life's most difficult moments arise. Through our services, you will find independence, flexibility, health, and security that will prosper and protect your life. Whether you are driving that new car, buying that new home, opening that new business, or building a new family, we provide you the peace of mind and freedom to enjoy life's best things. Your next moment is waiting. Are you ready?
And welcome back. Always good. See, I told you that was a good ad from our new advertiser, Mike Singh. I want to welcome the Honorable Jason Nimeth. He is a judge of the Lake County Court, one of the new judges. Welcome, Judge. How are you?
Thank you, and please call me just Jason.
Okay. All right. I did. This can be a little hard. I'll work on it. All right.
I know. No issues here. We're not in a courtroom, so it's fine. I'm just Jason.
You're not an old judge, so you're not used to being called Judge or His Honor yet.
No, in fact, I still ignore the response. I've had people who have referred to me that like that, and I don't even acknowledge them. And it takes me a minute to turn around and look at them, and then all of a sudden you're talking to me. So it is. It's a very new experience for me.
Judge Nimeth is Jason Nimeth. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Nimeth. I've been looking at it in my calendar, saying it wrong for 3-4 weeks now.
It's okay.
He is a Lake County judge. He's a former assistant state's attorney for the 5th Judicial Circuit. Wow, say that 5 times fast. He is a Sunday school teacher of young adults at the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Eustis.
Yes, sir.
In Eustis. he got he is a homegrown judge. Was actually kind of cool in my conversation with him. He is a homegrown judge in that he got an AA degree at Lake Sumter Community College before it was Lake Sumter College.
Yes, sir.
He took that AA degree, went to the University of Florida to get his bachelor's degree, and then he got his law degree at Barry University School of Law right here in Orlando. It is so cool to hear about somebody who goes, because the community college thing gets a bad rap sometimes.
You're absolutely right.
It was all up to your decisions, wasn't it?
It was, and I had the unique fortune that I actually graduated high school a little bit early, and I had already started as a dual enrollment student. So I went to Lake Sumter because of their rolling admission. I was able to start kind of in an awkward place in the year, and it turned out to be one of the greatest experiences ever, because the thing that I've always loved about our community is that you have so many different dynamics and so many different generations that are willing to interact with each other, talk to each other. And that was the nice thing about Lake Sumter, is that it gave me the opportunity. And so there I am as a 17-year-old talking to people in their late 30s, 40s who are going back to school, who all of a sudden have changed their entire life. And so as a 17-year-old, I'm gaining how much wisdom and experience that I wouldn't otherwise have had. And it was just a great opportunity.
That's such a cool perspective, because I took, some years ago, I'd gone through a change in my life, and I was really getting to this place where, like, my life is my responsibility. I'd always wanted to type, and I realized, well, maybe I should go, if I'm going to write a book, maybe I should know how to type and to write. And I went back and I took some classes. And I can remember doing a research project, going into the library, the power went out and everybody was lost. They were packing up their stuff. And I was like, well, that's a card file over there. Well, how do you use that? So here I was, this guy in his 40s showing 20-year-olds how to use a card file, because they couldn't get the computer information of where a book was. I'm like, well, it's all here, guys. We found books before there were computers.
Right, absolutely.
Let me ask you this, because you have kind of a really cool story. We talked about your education a little bit here just now. How did you actually become a judge?
So it was something that somebody, one of the judges that I knew that became a mentor for me, that I had started working for right out of high school, talking with her about, our community and the changes that I had seen at the horizon. And I probably about 5 years ago now started the application process. And for those who don't know, whenever a judge is appointed because someone resigns or retires before the election cycle is over, that election term is over, they go through an appointment process, which is actually two-tiered. It starts at the local level, that is made up of a committee of lawyers and practitioners from our community and from our circuit, who vet, process, and interview the candidates to make sure that they are representative of what they want to see on the bench. They then go to the governor's office for appointment. And the way Governor DeSantis does it is that he did a two-prong interview, where he did the first one, his general counsel and deputy general counsels interviewed me. And then after that, the group got narrowed down and then interviewed with the governor and his general counsel and deputy general counsel directly. And so then he made the appointment decision based on that.
Now, Judge Nimeth and I, Jason and I, had a conversation at a business function, and just had a conversation. Like I do with all my guests, had a conversation. One of the things we talked about is how while he may have a political opinion personally, that he has certain canons he's not allowed to talk about. And I in this process, I think there's sometimes a general perception that to be appointed as a judge is kind of like a political favor being returned. But it's not like that at all, is it?
It's not. No, in fact, the canons restrict either a judicial candidate, which you are technically under the canons as soon as you apply, whether it's through the committee or by election. The canons immediately start applying to you. You can't identify with any political party or organization. You cannot give any comments about political opinions because you are nonpartisan and you're supposed to be that way. In fact, the canons, which regulate Florida judges, and it's different because most of the time you see in national news, federal judges. And in our system, there are two different tiers and they are two different systems, and they're both regulated differently. And so our canons even restrict us so far as that I am not allowed to comment on anything that would be an issue that would be in front of me, which is nice because you don't want the judge to be out spouting all these opinions, and then you have to go before that judge, and now the judge has said this or that, and if the judge is more focused on his own opinions or her own opinions, they're not focused on the facts and the evidence of the case. So the canons are there to protect everyone involved in the process, and most specifically the parties, because it shouldn't be about the judge or the opinions in this system. It should be about the parties to the case and the facts of that case, and to those facts alone. And so I like it in the sense that the canons almost ethically force the judge to stop looking internally and only focus on what's before him, because in any courtroom situation, it does not matter the judge's personal opinions.
One of the things that's kind of cool about our American system of justice is that concept of the blindness. That blind lady, matters, right? You can't say this, I can say it because I'm not a judge, is that, it sounds like a system that would benefit the Supreme Court or even higher courts, recognized courts, to have that kind of a rule that you can't make comments on these things because something might end up in front of you and then you're compromised. So it sounds like our lower courts are almost a little more ethical, or at least by canon, than some of our higher courts. I mean, you seem to have more restrictions. You can't make a comment on politics or an elected official.
No, and the nice thing about the Florida judiciary, and in fact, I was just at a diversity and bias training this last Friday, because the rules regulating judges require us that within the first 3 years of taking the bench to take a diversity and bias training, because Florida, specifically in the Florida Supreme Court, recognize that we want judges to be not just on par, but we want to be above par. In fact, one of the things that I make sure that everybody in my courtroom knows is that I am there for them. I try to show up to court early because I want to know that when court is scheduled at 1:30, you can get to that bench at 1:25, because I know that court is already an intimidating place, and I don't want individuals to then have to sit there and wonder, why is the judge running late? Is he going through all of this or that? And so the Florida Bar and the Florida Judiciary and the Florida Supreme Court, which regulates the judges more specifically, have wanted the appearance of not just only a fair, but beyond that, to just something that is a process that people can look at and say, I got my day in court. The judge listened. He or she was attentive to what I had said. And the system may not have given me what I wanted, but the system worked, and I got my day in court. And that's the great thing about the American judiciary, and specifically the Florida judiciary, is because the system works because you have two parties that are advocating zealously on their own behalves. And most of the time, the judge is not even the fact finder. He or she is only there to rule on the facts, or the legal conclusions as far as what facts are admissible and stuff like that. And it's the jury that's made up of the community are the ones who are finding people guilty or innocent after a jury trial. And so it is all about making sure the system works, and it brings back to everyone gets a fair day in court. And when we make it less about judges trying to get spotlight and judges spouting this or that, and make it more about the parties and them having access to the court, then everyone gets that. And that's what I think everyone's ultimate goal is.
I want to ask you two questions, because obviously as a homegrown judge, you have a special love for this community. Because you came here, you probably have a little better insight than some, that may come from a bigger city or South Florida or something, to the needs of the community. But you're also expected to have a little higher ethical standard, and that hopefully guides you. Where do you find the strength for that? I mean, because we're all tempted. I like to think I have a high ethical standard, but sometimes, and I'm just a realtor and a TV show host, but there are sometimes days, weeks, I have to question my ethical standard, or at least that standard gets tested. How do you find that standard? What drives that for you? I mean, for me, it's my faith.
Sure. And the same is true for me. My faith is very important to me, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't. It's just one factor, because I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable who doesn't come of faith to my courtroom, because that's not what it's about. But my faith drives me to be better than what I am, and to recognize that I'm not the all-knowing, or just because I put on a black robe, I know everything. But in addition to my faith, I also have a great family. I go home to a wonderful wife, and I have 4 children that range from the age of 2 up to going to be 10 in just a couple weeks. And I look at them, and they're what drives me. I'm old enough, and this is something I tell people, I'm old enough to have gotten to see some really great parts of Lake County and just the community bond that we have, the willingness for people to talk and to share and to understand that reasonable people can disagree about things and have a discourse and a discussion about how to be better. But I'm young enough to see the long road ahead that Lake County has. We're at such an interesting and defining time where our development is up. The number of houses that we have is increasing. I think by 2020, University of Florida forecasts us to have almost 500,000 people just within the Lake County boundaries. And so we're going to have some growth, and we're going to have some growing pains. And so I look to my children and I see they are the reason, and not just my children, but everyone's children, and the next generation of Lake County residents. It is my desire, it's my dream, it's my goal that those future generations get to see the great parts of Lake County that I got to see that have helped me to be able to be where I am now, not because of myself, but because of good men and women who have invested in me when it didn't matter if I was at Lake Sumter or if I was in high school or just in my career, with more experienced lawyers willing to talk to me as a younger or newer lawyer when I first got into the profession. All those wonderful things and all those wonderful meshings, it's my goal and my hope, and that's what drives me, is to hope that gets to the next generation.
On a personal note, obviously you're a new judge, so you've got this whole worldwide in front of you. Are you at all concerned that your duties as a judge are going to pull away from your family a little bit? Because I had 4 kids. It's a full-time job, and I worked personally. I probably worked too much, but of course I wasn't a judge. I was doing other things, but still. Are you concerned about that at all?
I think it's a concern for anyone who has a family, and it's a balance. If you ask my wife, I'm a workaholic. I am one of those that...
She's usually the one that says that.
Yes. And I love my work. I would not do it if I didn't love it. And, I'm of the firm opinion that we all leave a legacy in this world. We're putting faith and everything aside. We leave a mark. And the question is, what is that mark going to reflect? And in me continuing to work hard and do a good job for the citizens of Lake County, I'm investing in the community that my children, I hope, will continue to live in and to one day raise their children in. And I see it's about balance of time, but I think both are equally important to me, because I want my children to have a great world, and only through the work that I do and making sure that each party gets the time and the attention to detail, and whether it be a ruling or research that I have to do to make a decision for the parties. In that way, that is shaping and creating the world that my children are going to get. And so an investment in his work is an investment in my kids, as far as I'm concerned. But it is a balance, and I'm working on that just with anybody.
We're starting to run out of time.
Yes,
I did want to ask if you can give me a brief answer to this. I think sometimes the court and the judiciary is not seen as part of the community. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on is you have such effect in the community.
Yes, sir.
What part of the community do you see your job, the court system? What part of the community do you see that? What effect do you think it has?
Well, it has an incredible effect, because if people don't trust the judiciary, they tend to not want to use it. And one of the things that, and we talked about this a little bit before coming on the air, is unfortunately a lot of citizens, their first encounter with the court system is when they're a part of it. And so I don't think that people realize that courtrooms are public domains. You can go in and sit and watch court if you just are curious. Judges are elected officials. They're constitutional officers. We work for the community in that regard. We are bound by ethics and we're bound to follow the law. But in that regard, we are a part of the community. We're part of our government system that works. And so the biggest thing that I want every person to know as far as the community is that if you're interested in the justice system, or you're curious about the justice system, to just be proactive and go look, walk around the courthouse, see what's going on.
Do you know, that's actually a great concept, and I'm going to wrap it up here because we're running out of time, but I have to say there was a time in my life that when I was really feeling down, when I was really feeling like ungrateful, I would go sit in the back of a courtroom and it really kind of centered me to see, because then you see people with problems greater than yours, and you appreciate the track your life has taken as opposed to the track of the life of somebody else who you could easily be, Right. And I would make the same suggestion to everybody. If you're feeling like your life stinks, go sit in the back of a courtroom for a little while, a day, an hour. And we could talk about jury duty, which we agree on jury duty, but I'll talk about that some other day. Mm-hmm. Jason, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming by and making the time. I know you're busy. It's not easy to get out here to Groveland, so I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Look, I just want to say, Judge Nimeth?
Yes, sir.
I'll get it right.
That's okay.
Judge Nimeth has been a great guest. If you know somebody that should be a guest on Joe Knows South Lake, let me know. I'm sure Jay has the information up. If you know somebody who should be advertising here, let me know. I still have that spotlight sponsor spot. Also, go to Facebook, like our Facebook page. Go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube page. You subscribe to the YouTube page, you'll get announcements of all of our premium programming. Finally, there is greatness inside you. And as a young man from Lake County has done, he showed his greatness to the world. And I encourage you, show the world that there is greatness inside you. I'll see you tomorrow, and I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe Knows South Lake.